For passenger travel, east and west, the most up-to-date diesel-powered trains, offering luxurious comfort for sleeping and daytime travel. 6 convenient silver and blue streamlined passenger trains. Gracious living in diner or lounge with courteous but unobtrusive service when you want it. This is first-class hotel luxury in convenient service between Chicago and Buffalo and between Cleveland and St. Louis. Connecting at Chicago and St. Louis for the West and the Pacific Coast, and with through service at Buffalo for New York and other points east. Diversification is the key word for the territory served by the nickel plate. Soybeans, number 2 crop in this territory, and one of the most versatile crops taken out of the earth. Today, almost half of all the soybeans produced in the United States are grown within 25 miles of the road's rail system. Throughout this area, rich and varied natural resources. Clay for pottery, fire brick, limestone, dolomite for furnace and refractory operations, silica and foundry sands. Coal, number 1 subsoil product in the nickel plate territory. From the mines of southeastern Ohio, more than 7 million tons a year. Nickel plate coal moves principally to Ohio, Michigan, and Canadian markets for industrial and domestic use. A considerable tonnage also moves to the company's coal dock at Huron, Ohio, for transshipment up the Great Lakes. Here, a modern electrically operated car dumper loads coal into lake vessels at the rate of a train load each hour.
Hello, everybody. I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks lunchtime streaming show, where we watch poorly shot home movies shot on 16 millimeter. Sometimes, and that was just around town. Sometimes, and this is what's interesting is so nowadays with our phones, we get immediate feedback about what we're shooting. And, oh, that's too dark, or, oh, that's whatever. With film, and I don't have to explain this to most of you, you shoot it, then you put it in a bag and you send it to Kodak or you send it to your drugstore. They process it and then you get it back, maybe in a week or two. So there's that disconnect. Like, you shoot the film, then, maybe a month later you get to see the result and you're like, oh, oh, I didn't do that right. So in early cameras didn't even have a reflex lens where you could actually see what was being captured. Like, you'd get a little thing that would kind of give you a rough idea of what was being captured, but as far as framing goes, it was very difficult. Yeah, I'm cutting them a little bit of slack, but anyways, let's see. Ice cream, who wants it?
This is the story of Town and Country and how they serve each. In addition to manufactured articles, food plants in the city process many farm products before they are sold. On the wheels of trucks and trains, products of farm and city move back and forth in an endless stream. This system of transportation links America's farms and cities. Like that milk truck on its way back to the country for another load. Crisscrossing the fertile fields are thousands of miles of truck highways and railroad tracks. And as the farms move farther from the cities, the workhorse is retiring from the scene. The tractor is taking Dobbin's place. The farm family knows that with a tractor, which was built in the city, their farm can now produce more food for everyone. One good example of the many benefits from this partnership of town and country is ice cream, a delicious food for Betty and the rest of us. Uh-oh. Too bad, Betty. There was a time, though, when this would have been a terrible loss. But now, ice cream, like so many other foods, is easily available because town and country work together to make things that people like Betty and Jimmy want. Once Bowser is parked, even Jimmy can afford to replace Betty's ice cream cone. Bowser, next time you behave. Here's Granddad. I bet he'll remember when this partnership between town and country did not always operate this way.
I remember about 50 years ago when I was a boy in a little town. I had to work before we ever had any ice cream. First, I had to bring the family cow from the town pasture. Keeping a cow was the only way my mother was sure of having a fresh supply of milk. Same with vegetables. Many people in town had gardens. You see, the dairy business was almost everyone's business. That is, everyone who had a cow. For our milk, Dad had to milk old Bossy twice a day. If we wanted butter, we skimmed the milk and churned the cream. If we wanted ice cream, I turned the crank. Yes, every Sunday in those days before television, radio, and movies, making ice cream was usually a family event. And it was sure worth all the bother. But in those days, when we ran out, there was nothing we could do but wish we had more. In a few cities, ice cream was beginning to be manufactured. There was transportation between farm and town, but it was a little slow. So was the making of ice cream slow. They had machinery, which made a lot of noise. They had ice, but no refrigeration as we know it now. In those days, ice cream was frozen and hardened in tightly covered cans as they were turned in tubs containing crushed ice mixed with salt. Farmers produced milk and all the other good things that went into ice cream. Considering the limitations of refrigeration and transportation, the old-timers deserve a lot of credit in pioneering a great industry. What was missing? They did have machinery, ice cream makers, farmers, icemen, and customers. Then, why was there so little ice cream business when I was a boy?
That's a good question, Granddad. Let's find the answers. As our country grew, new ways were found for the cities to serve the farms and for the farms to serve the cities. Today, ships from faraway places bring tropical fruits and flavorings that don't grow in the United States, like vanilla, cocoa, pineapples, coconuts, and bananas. But American agriculture produces most of the ingredients that go into modern ice cream. Nuts from American farms add their crunchy goodness. Our farmers in many sections of the United States provide most of the fruit flavors which give ice cream variety. Sweeteners made from sugar cane, sugar beets, and corn come from farms across the country. And to get the food to the ice cream plants today, we have fast farm-to-market roads. Trucks and trains have replaced the horse and wagon. The key partner in producing ice cream hasn't changed. He's still the dairy farmer with his herd of dairy cows. Many things on modern farms have changed for the better. Milking parlors and power machinery made in the city makes the farmer's work easier. Specialists in dairy science have discovered new ways to help cows provide more milk of better quality through better feeding and better care. One thing hasn't changed, though. Bossy still has to be milked twice every day. And so with deliveries of good, clean milk from today's farms, America's dairy industry produces healthful products: milk, cream, butter, cheese, and ice cream. At the same time, machinery built in the city bales hay for the dairy herd. A very important partner is the man in transportation. From ports and farms, trucks and trains carry raw products to the city, processed food to market, and farm products to food plants. The next partner is the ice cream maker, all the people who work in the plant. Producing ice cream from milk furnishes employment to thousands of people. At this plant, fresh milk is shipped directly from the farm in glass-lined trucks built like huge vacuum bottles. Here, where milk is piped into the plant, men of town and country meet and work side by side. The man who knows most about making ice cream is the plant superintendent. He checks every step, from receiving to processing and shipping. To be sure the milk is fresh and clean, its quality is judged by smell, by sight, taste, and temperature. A sample is rushed to the laboratory for immediate analysis. The ice cream manufacturer must make sure that his plant receives high-quality ingredients with which to make ice cream. He depends on the skill and accuracy of his laboratory technician trained in chemistry and bacteriology. After the tests, a separator divides the cream from the rest of the milk. This machine whirls the whole milk rapidly, and cream, being lighter, rises and flows through the top outlet. The balance of the fluid containing milk solids is heavier and drains out through a lower pipe. Next, a condenser, by evaporation, removes some of the water from the rest of the separated milk. Thus, more of the nutritionally valuable milk solids in the concentrated milk are used in ice cream. The ice cream manufacturer puts the milk back together in different quantities. He uses more cream and concentrated milk solids. This fluid is called the mix, containing everything except fruits, nuts, and bulky flavoring. Ice cream is basically a dairy food. With the added cream, the mix can be whipped as it freezes and have the smooth, creamy taste and texture that appeals to everyone. Now the mix flows into the pasteurizer to be heated to a high temperature for a regulated amount of time. A recording thermometer makes a written record of the process. Pasteurizing is an additional protection to make sure that ice cream is always a safe food to eat. Next step is passing the mix through the homogenizer, where fat particles are broken up into tiny bits, giving the ice cream a velvety texture. When the hot mix flows from the homogenizer, it must be cooled before storage. The mix is rapidly cooled by plates or by flowing over refrigerated coils, then into a holding tank until freezing time. The modern continuous freezer is entirely different from the one used by Jimmy's granddad when he was a boy. Here the mix flows into a freezing tube, cooled by mechanical refrigeration, where whirling dashers continuously whip the mix as it freezes. The fruit feeder is used to add flavorings to the soft ice cream as it comes from the freezer on its way through the packaging spout. Nearly 200 different flavors of ice cream have been developed. Speed, care, and cleanliness are used throughout the plant. After the covers are put on, the containers move immediately into a hardening room. With temperatures from 20 degrees Fahrenheit below zero, the ice cream freezes quickly. Warmly clad men, who look like they come from the North Pole, load the ice cream packages on refrigerated trucks for deliveries everywhere, in the city as well as the country. The stores of today are equipped to keep all food products safely stored at the proper temperature until the customer comes to buy. America's ice cream industry is one example of how town and country produce the food we like in all its enticing flavors, colors, and forms. Yes, Granddad, today we enjoy ice cream and many other foods because town and country work together to feed millions of families. And so the journey of ice cream from farm to family continues. A true and never-ending story of town and country.
So there's a lot to talk about with this film. One of the things is there's a lot of these films that were made, sometimes for a specific dairy, sometimes for an industry, and all of them are talking about the hygienic practices of processing food. And supposedly, that's why there were factory tours and tours of plants that made food, so that it would reassure the public that the process of making the food was hygienic. And that stopped in the late 80s. And I think that they realized, like, well, we don't have to worry about that. And, oh, we don't have to worry about, so there's, I just feel like it contributed in some way. But these films were made as a way to, like, well, we can't get all the school kids to come to this dairy. Although I feel like when I was a kid, I did definitely tour an egg processing plant in high school. So they're like, well, we'll just make this and then we'll tour it around and we'll bring ice cream and kids will have a great time. And don't even get me started about the raw milk movement. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So we talked about ice cream, which kids will eat, and we saw a kid eating ice cream. This film is The Mouth of Babes. Enjoy.
How old do you think God is?
I don't know, about 97 or something. 120. 4,000. I think he can be 6 months or 4.
And where do you think he lives?
Up in heaven.
Where's that?
On a cloud or a really high mountain.
Well, where does God live?
He lives in California.
Where does God live, do you think?
I've seen this house before, but I don't remember. It's not far away. It's not very far away.
Where does God live, do you think?
He lives way, way up in the sky.
Well, if he lives way up in the sky, when you say your prayers, how can he hear you?
He has big ears.
Well, how could he be way over in heaven and hear you? How does that work?
Fine.
Have you ever seen God?
Uh-huh.
What does he look like?
Like Heavenly Father.
Oh. Have you ever seen God?
No.
Do you know anybody that has?
Uh-uh.
Well, how come nobody's ever seen him?
Because, he does, we don't supposed to go to his house. Nobody has to see him.
Why?
Because I don't know where his door is, and my mom and dad don't know either, and my sister does.
Have you ever seen God?
Yeah,
What does he look like?
like my grandpa.
Have you ever seen the devil?
Yeah,
What does he look like?
he looks like my dad.
Like, what does God do every day?
Read the paper.
He reads the paper? Oh. Well, then what does he do?
Brush his hair.
Oh. What's he getting ready to go do?
Go to church.
Do you, say your prayers at night?
Mm-hmm.
What does that do?
And my dad doesn't got mad at me.
Do you ever say your prayers?
Yeah?
Who are you praying to?
Heavenly Father,
Where does he live?
he lives up in heaven.
Where's that?
Where's that, Mom? Huh?
How did we get here to this earth?
We drive the car.
Who was Moses?
I don't know.
Who was... Excuse me. Who was Jesus?
I don't know.
Who's Heavenly Father?
I don't know.
Who taught you all this?
My dad.
Well, you know, like before you were born, remember when you were a baby? Where were you before that?
At my house.
What were you doing?
Just running around.
What happens to people that are good?
They go up to heaven.
Well, what about bad people? What happens to them?
They get spanked.
What happens to you when you die?
If you're bad, you go. If you're bad, you go down. If you're good, you go up.
Well, who decides where you go?
Your mom.
Are you a Christian? Okay. If you weren't a Christian, what would you be?
A people.
Are you a Christian?
Mm-mm.
What are you?
A big boy.
If you weren't a Christian, what would you be?
An alien from hyperspace. A dad. A nurse. A cheerleader. A Mexican.
Have you been saved?
Well, Darth Vader was walking along, and he started shooting his laser guns at me and lighting his lightsaber and slashing it at me. And this guy came, and this outer spaceman from hyperspace came along and pulled me and shoved me into his rocket and drove me home.
Did you get saved from that?
Yeah. Yep.
So you are saved.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the devil.
He's very, very evil, and he's rotten and dumb.
The devil's a bad guy. The devil's a person that, tries to tempt you. And, some people say bad things about him, and I kind of think he isn't a very smart person either. And you're going to have a thing that sticks you.
Who's the devil?
You know this, huh? When Pebbles was a baby, when Pebbles was a baby, she used to go like this. Wah, When Pebbles was a schoolgirl, schoolgirl. When Pebbles was a schoolgirl, she used to go like this. Here's my paper, teacher. I can't think of it. I don't know the answer.
Well, what's that got to do with the devil?
I don't know.
What is fasting?
That means you're supposed to be fast.
Fasting is when you don't eat fast.
What does fasting do for you?
Just makes me hungry.
What is the sacrament?
It's bread and water.
What do we eat it for?
Because in case we're hungry.
Well, why do you think we have... Why do you think we have bread and water? Why do we have those two?
Because the water is like milk and the bread is like just bread.
Why do we eat that bread and water in church?
Because to make you healthy and strong.
Well, how should you act while they're passing the sacrament?
Still. Very, very still.
What's the difference between going to Sunday school or going to school?
We get older.
Of course. What's the difference between going to school and going to Sunday school?
You use different crayons.
What's your favorite part of going to church?
When I get to go home.
What's your favorite part of going to church?
Eating lizards.
Tell me about how much you like going to church.
I don't. Our teacher doesn't let us play.
Why?
Let us look at, color. But we sneak out the crayons and get some paper and color.
What are some of the things Jesus told us to do?
Go outside and play.
He told us to go outside and play? What are some of the things he told us not to do?
Don't talk with your mouth full.
In the Bible it says, if a man asks for your coat, to give him your cloak also. What does that mean?
Don't let him have it.
You know, Jesus said that if somebody wants to take your shirt, to give them their cloak also. Does that mean then that we should give them our toys if they want to take them?
No.
What does it mean?
To give them their shirt, but not their toys.
In the Bible it says, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. What does that mean?
It means that an alien from hyperspace has just smashed your house.
Should we give to the poor and the maimed?
No.
Why?
Why should we?
Should we give to the poor and the maimed?
Yes.
Who are the maimed?
the people that I married.
What are the 10 Commandments?
They're in the intents.
10 of them? What do they do?
They have dinner, you know.
Tell me one of the 10 Commandments.
Like something you don't take off the covers off thy neighbor's wife. I'm looking for a miracle, and I expect the impossible, and I feel the intangible, and I sing the inevitable. Looking for a miracle. I say my prayers every night so I can be a better boy. How do you follow my friend?
Oh man, that was so good. Holy cow. They use different crayons. That's the difference between Sunday school and school. And that kid who was obsessed with Star Wars. Oh man, so good. Holy cow. Did we learn anything from that? No, we shouldn't learn anything from that. Kids, they don't know. And honestly, adults, they don't know either. So, all right. This is Mickey's Big Chance. Hope he doesn't blow it. Enjoy.
Gee, Bill, Pal's not the only one that's going to miss you. I'm going to, too.
And I'll miss you, Mickey. But Uncle Sam has trained me to be a flyer, and now he wants to see what I can do.
Aw, you'll do fine. Say, when do you think you'll come home on leave?
Well, I don't know, but it'll be a long time.
Gee, I'll bet I'll be in high school by the time you get back.
Well, you'd better be. Say, I just remembered I haven't put the car away. Come on, let's take a last run around the block.
Hey, that's a great idea. Come on, pal, let's go. Gee, Bill, I wish I could drive the way you do.
Well, Mickey, if you're really determined to learn to drive properly, you will. It's just a matter of time and practice and being fair to everyone else on the road. A fella can get a lot of value and pleasure out of a car if he treats it right and is a sport. I know I've sure had a lot of fun with this buggy. But you know, you've got to take care of a car if you want to get the most out of it. Which reminds me, there were several little jobs I meant to do before I left, but it just wasn't time.
I could do them. I've worked with you before in the car.
Say, that might be a good idea. The more you know about a car, the better you'll be able to take care of it. Come on, I'll show you what has to be done. Pull the hood lever there, will you, Mickey?
Okay.
Now, for one thing, the plugs ought to be cleaned and reset. And, oh, see where the insulation is wearing off this wire?
Yeah, right down there.
Yeah, that's one. I was going to replace that. And, let's see. Oh, yeah, the hose connection here needs tightening.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I think I can take care of all those things.
You sure are car crazy, aren't you?
Well, aren't you?
I guess so. Say, I've got an idea. While I'm away, if you satisfy me that you've learned all you can about cars and driving, I'll let you drive my car when you get your license.
You mean it? You really mean it?
Of course I do. By the time I come home again, you'll probably be just about ready to drive. I'll check you out the day I get back.
Oh, gee, that's great. But what do you check me out on? What do I have to know?
Well, I'll leave that to you to figure out. And be sure and write me now and let me know how you're coming along.
Okay.
Say, that must be the folks ready to take me to the station. Come on, Mick, let's go.
Dear Bill, I don't know what kind of problems you have in the Air Corps, but that problem you gave me is sure a tough one. I've been trying to figure out just what you'd want me to know, because I'd sure like to earn those keys. Whenever I'm in a car now, I really watch how people drive. The other day, there was a woman ahead of us, trying to find a number on the opposite side of the street. Dad said when you look off the road, you just naturally kind of drive the way you're looking. She sure was. She almost got hit. It seems that a driver not only has to watch out for his own car, but he also has to keep his eyes open for everybody else on the road. You know, drivers aren't the only ones who cause trouble. A woman tried to cross in the middle of the block, and it's a good thing Dad was on the job and wasn't going too fast. Some people just don't seem to consider the other fellow. We were at a stop signal, and a car squeezed in on the right side of us and shot across in front of us as soon as the signal changed. The other day I was working on your car. Now I can see why it's important you know these things. Jane came over to see what I was doing. I told her what you said. She wanted to help. Well, I figured she'd be in the way, with all I've got to learn. But she just wouldn't take no for an answer. So I said all right, she could watch me. I showed her what I was doing. And you know, she caught on right away. She wants to drive just as much as I do. It's more fun to work with somebody. And we decided that when we get into high school, we're going to take a course in driver education. After that, I ought to be well on my way toward becoming a good driver.
Dear Mickey, it sounds as though you're coming along fine. I know it's work, but rules are necessary for everyone's safety. Before I got my wings, I had to learn the rules of flying, just as you're learning the rules of driving. That's why there are flight plans and control patterns for the planes that share the skies. And rules of the road for all ships at sea. And every car driver must realize that a license is a privilege. It just means you have to recognize the rights of others. The best drivers are those who know the rules and why we have to have them. They think ahead, so they're always ready for emergencies that may develop. And even though they have the right of way, they don't insist on it when it could mean danger. It's pretty easy for you to spot good and bad driving habits, Mickey, especially with the experience you've already had in driving a bicycle. You know you have to watch the road and keep your mind on traffic and signs, signal and road markings at all times. You know you have to stop for pedestrians, even though they may make the mistake of crossing at the wrong time against the signal or the wrong place. Some people are in such a hurry that they obey the laws only when they're being watched or think they are. They forget that traffic laws and policemen protect us all.
Dear Bill, it's a mighty long time since you left. I like your letters, and I hope I'm learning what you want me to know so I can get those car keys. As I drive my bike along, I watch how people handle their cars. I've seen some good drivers and some bad ones. I saw a real close one the other day. He's lucky he didn't wind up like the fellow I saw who got clobbered in a crack-up. He really got it for driving too fast for road conditions. And Jane and I are learning how to prevent such accidents in our driver education class in high school. Yesterday we got a chance to try the machine for measuring reaction time. It shows how fast you react to different kinds of emergencies and signals. You know, there are some fellows who boast they can stop on a dime, but it just can't be done. We have the 3A textbook called Sportsmanlike Driving, and it covers just about everything a good driver needs to know. We learned how the control of a car depends on the grip of the tires on the road. These are the 4 friction points, and each one is only about as big as the palm of a man's hand. You have to have friction or grip to start, stop, or to move in any direction. We also learned it takes only a fraction of a second for an average driver to get his foot on the brake when he has to stop fast. But in that time, his car travels farther than you think. Then the car travels a lot farther before the brakes stop it. At 20 miles an hour, the reaction time distance is 22 feet, and the braking distance for good brakes is 30 feet. So you go 52 feet before you stop. And at 60, you go over 300 feet. Why, that's farther than the length of a football field. That sure puts a lot of responsibility on a driver. We also learned about the danger zone. It's sort of an extension of the car out in front, and it's as long as the stopping distance. It's a clear distance you must have for stopping. Anything in that zone would be hit before you could possibly stop. And the faster you go, the longer that danger zone will be. And of course, you need a bigger margin of safety when you're driving downhill, or when you're driving in snow, or rain, or slippery roads, because these conditions make it harder to stop. Yes, there's a lot to learn, Bill, but it's fun finding out how to be a really good driver. I think I'm going to surprise you when you get home.
Dear Mickey, tell the folks to roll out the carpet because I'm on my way. Should be home on leave before you know it. Well, Mick, she sure looks swell. Yes, sir, you really took care of her.
Had a lot of fun doing it, too. Say, Bill, do you remember what you said before you went away?
Well, it's been a long time, but I remember. First, we'll have to get you a learner's permit. Then we'll see what you can do.
I already have one. And I've been practice driving with our instructor in school, in a dual-controlled car.
Well, all right. You take the wheel. And I'm not going to say a word. It's all up to you.
That's fine with me. Now watch it, Mickey. Don't follow too closely. Remember your stopping distances. You're on right ahead. Now make sure there's nobody too close behind you. Get the car in the left-hand lane, in proper position. Now make a clear signal, and soon enough. Watch for pedestrians. There's a stop sign, but take it easy. That fellow's coming too fast. He might not be able to stop. Boy, that sure proves you've got to always look out for the other fellow.
Boy, oh boy, what a workout. 2 hours and I really went through the ringer. I think I did all right, though.
What's the matter, Bill? Did Mickey do something wrong?
You did fine, Mickey.
Oh, boy! I made it! I made it!
Yes, and all you need now is your driver's license. You've learned what it means to be a good driver, and you're ready to go, Mick.
So I was half expecting this to turn into that episode of MASH where Henry Blake's plane is shot down, and Bill was the pilot, and nobody survived. So that's very insensitive. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just read the headlines. That was very insensitive. Anyways, okay. It's hard to watch these films and then also ignore headlines without knowing that some people read headlines and it just, some things feel wrong. But anyways, that was trying to be a MASH joke and not a current headline joke. Okay. So, thank you for tuning in today. Kevin and Jeremy, thank you for donating via the Super Thanks button. That money goes towards rent on storage units. And another way you can support us is by going to ko-fi.com/abgeeks, patreon.com/abgeeks. Those are great ways to support us. You can also just hit the thumbs up or the like button. Those are other ways to support us. And we have been adding 24 films a day at least. And our goal is to hit 10,000 by the end of March. 10,000 films online. So we got a lot. We got so many films to share with you. And I'm happy that you're there to watch us. A lot of people, some guy, I don't know, he's not on our streaming show, but every time I post something, he says, more. So I don't know if he's actually watching them or if he's just, that's his default. More. So yes, there will be more. And so thank you for watching. And I just found out, I realized looking at my calendar that next Wednesday I'm going to be doing a show at the D.H. Hill Library at NC State in Raleigh. And it's called Awkward Love, and we'll watch some films about awkward love because I have quite a few films about that. So I'll keep trying to mention that if you're in the Raleigh area. It's an early screening. I think it's like 4:30. So if you don't have a job or if you just happen to be in the neighborhood, yes. So everybody take care. We love you guys, and we will see you